Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, the wildest mixed tag team in podcasting, where the kayfabe drops and the chaos takes over. Let's ring the damn bell.
Headlocked tight, heels on the prowl, dropping elbows, hearing growl, feel the foul. No script here, just real, no bluff. Kayfabe crack, now the dirt gets rough. Headlocks, heels, havoc in the zone. Stepping in the ring, chaos at your home. No filters, no mask, just raw bare tone. Wrestling unscripted, we on the throne. Title bells, mic checks, crowd going crazy. Drop truth bombs, leaving lines feeling hazy. Beyond the kayfabe, past the charade, where legends are born and stories get made. Headlocks popping, who's hitting the mat? Welcome to the havoc where the real talk's at. Tune in, step through, leave the fake at the door. Headlocks, heels, havoc, now hear the roar.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am 1/3 of the greatest mixed tag team in podcasting, the legend J-Mac. With me, as always, is everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Slam.
What's up?
And it wouldn't be a show without the first lady of podcast wrestling, the Vipress.
Hi, everyone.
Today we have a special guest, guys, from Mayham Media, JD. He is the president of Mayham Media. I will turn it over to him and let him do a little bit more of an introduction of himself and his company. But welcome, JD.
What's up?
I think you're muted, but there you go.
Sorry about that. I wanted to make sure I didn't talk or say anything during your very awesome opening, by the way, I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, Mayhem Media, go check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and we'll be going to Spotify next year. And we cover all entertainment. We do some wrestling, and we have a whole wrestling kind of sub brand underneath Mayhem Media, but we cover all entertainment, not just wrestling.
Sounds good. Yeah. Right now we're just doing wrestling because we're just trying to figure it all out.
Hey, you know what? That's what I like about it. My podcast is that we kind of have a little. We're associated. We're not even associated, but we have friends with a lot of other wrestling podcasts. So we kind of provide people like you, J Mac. You were just on an episode, the Jurassic Park World episode with us. It gives some of you guys chances to come on our show and talk about stuff other than wrestling. So it actually kind of our little, we got a niche within the group, the community of podcasting that we have built around us and stuff. So it works.
Oh, it's definitely not, nice to be able to branch out and do other things too, especially, especially when you have a media company and everything and you're trying to do things. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. What got you into like wanting to just do podcasting in general?
I would probably go to my disability. I started a podcast because, finding employment is extremely difficult, when you're in a wheelchair. So I just was like, you know what, I got to do something. If I'm going to make something happen, I got to do it myself. So I started with a podcast. I have two brands. Mayhem Media does the entertainment, covers all entertainment. And then I have another brand called the Boiling Point Podcast that talks politics, faith, and other things that you're not supposed to talk about.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
Definitely branching out. So I guess the simple question is, what made you a fan of wrestling?
Oh, I've been a fan of wrestling. My dad had me a fan of wrestling ever since I was a kid. I remember being 5 and 6 years old and watching it on Saturday afternoons and Sunday afternoons and just, watching wrestling all the way back then. So I got away from it for a few years. And then when I was in high school, I got back into it again, just as the NWO invasion was actually starting in WCW.
Okay.
So, but I've been a fan since, my whole life of wrestling.
I hear that a lot, that like, and it's, I can't say that, I've heard it a lot from, females, because really the Vipers was the first real female that I've ever really met that was that huge into wrestling, like, we are and stuff and everything, because usually it was just me and my boys sitting around talking about it at the lunch table, when no girls trying to hang out with the guys that they're talking that fake stuff,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
the Vipers was first, girl that I really met, and I met her, I think, through a Facebook group or something
Facebook.
and everything. And that, we just mutually commented on something in wrestling and we agreed on it. So I sent her a friend request and was like, hey, she knows something about wrestling. Let's talk to her,
Yeah,
But, I think I've heard that a lot, that people go through a phase where they just don't watch.
yeah.
And I wonder what that is, if it's just, growing up and
For me,
other interests, quote unquote, but
certainly that was some of it. Right after high school was shortly after high school, and I think there's two reasons. One, when you're right after high school, trying to actually have the time to sit every week and watch wrestling was not high on my priority list. I was
right.
in life to the fullest at that point, just because
Yeah.
I can assure all of you, I was out doing a bunch of stuff I shouldn't have been doing after I graduated high school.
I think we've all done that.
Yeah, I was out every night, all night for several years after I graduated high school. So I didn't really have time. Like, sitting at home and watching wrestling wasn't even an afterthought at that point. But also WCW, when WCW closed down, I've never been a WWE fan. Okay. Like, I respect it. I don't want them to close. I don't hate WWE, but I've never really been a fan of the product they put on, the wrestling product that they make. So after WCW closed down and I watched them, botch the WCW invasion, I watched them botch the NWO invasion, I decided I couldn't watch WWE anymore. I put, when TNA came out, when it finally got to TV, I did watch some of that, but again, during that time in my life, I just wasn't into sitting and watching it week to week. And then I didn't get back into it until AEW came. That's when I got back into it just recently, because I went through another break because I just couldn't take it anymore.
I kind of had a second break myself. There was a time period there, like right after Sting came to the WWE, and I think he should have had, at least one run as the WWE champion, but they ended up burying him, and which was stupid. He ended up getting hurt. They buried him at WrestleMania against Triple H. After that, I kind of took a little break too.
Yeah.
And, which is nice and another, just aspect of our show that the Vipers brings is that she was watching during that time frame. So she kind of can fill in those gaps for us, and it's like, I've always wondered what that is, because I believe you even did that too, Uncle Slam, was, there was kind of a little break.
Actually, I was pretty much kind of like y'all. It was like I got out of high school. I was lucky enough that I was really into Monday Night Wars. I was watching all through the Stone Cold and to the Takeover and to the Invasion, but then life happened. I started having kids and shit, and never stopped for about 10 years, pretty much. And so I really didn't have the time to. I was more about changing diapers and making money. And then once my kids got older and I had a little more free time, then I started coming back. But I pretty much missed the probably like the whole aggression era or whatever. The whole John Cena. When he started taking over, like I kind of just kind of fell off, and then I started picking up. Maybe I would say a couple more years, probably a couple years ago and stuff, started getting really more into it again or whatever, or started getting my attention. But yeah, I just kind of took a hiatus like a lot of people. Life just happens, you know what I'm saying? And you got other priorities, and sometimes you just can't sit down for an hour or two and watch wrestling. So.
It's funny that y'all say that, because I thought about it while y'all were talking, and yeah, I did the exact same thing. I have two spaces where I didn't watch wrestling, and now I'm back, and it's like Uncle Slam said, it's because I watched it all through high school, which is when I really started, when I was a freshman, and then stopped like right after high school because I got married, went to college, had kids. I've got 3 kids now. So you know, after they finally got out of the diaper era and the bottle feeding all the time, then yeah, I got right back into it and then haven't left it since. So I see what you're all saying.
It's crazy how it happens too, you know, because it's like
It's
it's not
wild.
like you purposefully do it. It's just like, well,
Right.
you know, do I sleep for an extra 2 hours or do I, you know, watch this show for 2 hours? Nope, I'm going to sleep. I just worked 12 hours.
Right.
So, you
Yes.
know,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a matter of priorities. Sometimes
Right.
wrestling, as great as it is, just when life happens, isn't a priority.
Hmm.
right.
Right.
Well, that's what we always say. We love doing this podcast, but, you know, anytime real life always comes first. So, you know,
Yep.
we have to adjust the podcast around real life. And that's just the way, you know, life happens, you know. So
Yep.
would you say, JD, that you said you were a WCW fan. Would you say you're more of like the old school Southern wrestling fan or more the entertainment, you know, like WWE? Well, of course, you're not the
It's
WWE, but, you know,
WWE. I think it's got a little. There's so much storytelling in WWE, and I'm not a fan of their in ring product. I don't. I like the WCW AEW style matches. In WWE, there's always a lot of fist fighting. They're always outside the ring. And like every match, they always take the match outside the ring, even if they just exchange right hands outside the ring. It's so similar. A lot of their matches are just so similar with the way that they storytell, and I understand it, and a lot of people are into it, so you can't fault them for having a winning strategy. But for me, as a consumer, that doesn't strike my fancy. Now, I will say that when it comes to a pay per view and the way they retell how each match has a whole story. That's something that AEW and WCW never did. Was they not every single match has an elaborate story that's unfolding at the pay per view. So that's something that WWE does very well. Their recap packages and their build up right before the next match happens is superior to anybody else's. Okay, even when I watch a WWE pay per view, even if I haven't been watching their product, watching those hype videos leading into a match will pull me right into what's going on. They do it so well.
Right.
So that's amazing. But I'm more about I like the storytelling, and I wish AEW did a little bit more of it. They've been getting better in recent months. Been setting up a lot of long-term storytelling and doing some short-term storytelling, which I'm happy about in AEW. But it's just the kind of matches, I guess, is what it is. WCW and AEW, I see as similar kind of matches. Not every match has to be a banger match, and I don't really like the 10 to 12 minute matches all the time either. But it's just, I don't know. I like how it's about the wrestling. That's what I think WCW and AEW has, is that their matches and what they do with the product they put out is more focused on the wrestling and a little bit less maybe on the story. Where WWE is a little bit more on the story and a little bit less about the wrestling, because admittedly they're entertainment, whereas AEW I think is more professional wrestling. That is where I attribute what I like and don't like. I like professional wrestling. I don't really care for sports entertainment.
Now, I know a lot of people knock AEW because of the lack of story, and like when I watch AEW, which I don't watch it a lot, but I've got a little more into it recently. I get a lot of the ECW feel. Now, like, were you a fan of like ECW, or did you ever watch it back in the day?
I did watch some ECW. It wasn't as available to me as WCW was, because ECW only had the monthly pay-per-views and stuff when they started. And any money that I had as a high schooler was going to the WCW pay-per-views.
Okay.
So, but I did like what they did, and I liked a lot of their stars. And I went back and watched some of the ECW stuff, now that it's all out there in the world and you can watch it. So, I mean, I love Raven's run in ECW. His run in WCW was terrible, but it was amazing.
They buried him. They didn't do anything with him. It was
it was amazing in ECW though. Like it's crazy to watch him in WWE and then watch him become Raven in ECW, and that whole transition. He's crazy in ECW. So yeah, there's a lot in ECW I like too. Again, I think that goes to like they were professional wrestling, not so much sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Well, even people don't realize that, the whole Eddie being Dominic's dad storyline came from the Raven Tommy Dreamer storyline, because wasn't there a part of it, if I'm remembering it correctly, I was reading this, and they said that somebody in the WWE got the idea from Raven talking about he was Tommy Dreamer's son's kid or dad or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched ECW like that, but
Yeah, that was
I
a
remember
storyline.
something about the storyline.
I thought
So
he
I
just took
mean,
over the family though. Like I said, like because I remember that storyline back in ECW, and I don't think it was more like he was his father. It was more like he was like almost like a cult leader, and he was taking his wife and taking his kids, and they were coming over to his
okay.
side pretty much.
That was probably like I said, I didn't watch ECW much and everything, and honestly, I've never really gone back and really deep dove watch ECW. I've watched matches and few pay-per-views here and there, but as far as like keeping up with the storyline, I've never really done that. But I remembered seeing that. But yeah, I was reading that article, and they said that all bled from that Raven Tommy Dreamer ECW feud, was that they got the base of it. The idea was, so I mean, ECW had its place. I mean,
Oh yeah,
whether
and
you
Paul
liked it
Heyman.
or didn't like it.
Yeah, Paul Heyman is just a madman too. He's one of the
Mm-hmm.
smartest wrestling producers that there has ever been. Maybe second, maybe only to Dusty Rhodes.
I like Dusty, but Dusty had a lot of flops too.
Well, yeah,
A
but
whole lot of
so did
flops.
Heyman.
Yeah,
I think that's part of wrestling. I think that's part of wrestling. You're going to have some flops. I think the difference, though, is that you never saw Dusty or Paul Heyman do anything remotely close to things that Vince Russo did in WCW. I think that's that's where it's at there. That's why I would consider them some of the best. They understand the sport in a way that I can't even understand it. Like I hear them talking about things, and I'm like, "You are what?"
You're right. And it's like
Psychology of wrestling.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Dusty was like that old school mentality, and I feel like Paul Heyman understood the evolution of the business during the 90s more than Dusty did. Dusty was still trying to do those old school storytelling matches, which work. You know what I'm saying? But it's not going to work all the time like that because of the way wrestling was evolving at the time. And Heyman got that. And I think Cornette's the same way.
Oh, I don't. Cornette. Oh, let's not.
I love Cornette.
Oh, let's Cornette.
I did too.
He's lost touch. I'm sorry. He's out of touch. I used to think he knew what I mean, back when, many years ago, he knew what he was talking about, but he has lost touch. He does not know what he's talking about anymore.
And I think that was another thing. He was that Dusty mentality. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Uncle Sly, but I put him in that same category. He didn't go along with the evolution the way everybody else did. Go ahead, Uncle Slam. Sorry.
Like, I just feel like Jim Cornette, and I love Jim Cornette. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like when he speaks, like I listen and shit, kind of like Paul Heyman. But, and I hate to say this, but I feel like he bitches more than Bret Hart. I mean, when it comes to current wrestling and shit.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot for me because you know how I feel about Bret and shit. But like, he's very critical of wrestling today, which I am too about certain things and shit. But I can tell he just hates certain aspects, but I love to hear like Jim Cornette speak when it comes to certain things or whatever. Like
I don't think
I've
heard Jim Cornette. I don't think I've heard Jim Cornette say anything positive about wrestling in 15 years. That's my problem.
He does,
especially AEW.
I told you he bitches like y'all say Brett does or whatever and shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's saying a lot right there or whatever. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah, Cornette, I think, is out of touch. Paul Heyman definitely still understands wrestling to this day, but Cornette, I don't think. I think he's lost touch. That's the problem. I don't know that Dusty would have lost touch. I think he was able to evolve a little bit. Now, would Dusty be booking any 10-minute matches? No, a 10-minute match to Dusty is a squash match,
right?
But I think he would have been able to evolve a little bit more. I think he would have done a better job than Cody. Go ahead. I'm sorry, dude.
I think what makes Dusty and Paul Heyman so good is because they are both good with developing young talent. They can take somebody young and not just say, "Hey, you need to do this, you need to do that," and shit, which they could, but they listen to them, they watch, they learn and stuff from them and stuff, like they feed off each other and
Hmm.
stuff, and they're a great resource. And if you're a good wrestler, then you'll absorb all that knowledge that comes
Right.
from them. But both of them, if you put them with young talent, they will do wonders together. And I hate to admit it, Shawn Michaels is kind of he's working in that direction, but he ain't there yet. I ain't giving him that credit. You know what I'm saying? But
I don't know
Well,
if
it's,
Shawn Michaels is good on, like, I don't know if he's Dusty and Paul Heyman
I
good.
would
I
say
think
like
he's good.
NXT's wild, just with that show. Like I said,
I
now
think he's great behind the scenes. I think he does that
yeah,
role behind the
mhm,
scenes. I don't know if he would be a good like on-screen mentor the way
yeah,
Paul and Dusty can do it, but I
yeah.
think he's great behind the
I,
scenes. I think
I
he's done
agree
some
with you. Yeah,
amazing
yeah,
things in
yeah. Totally.
NXT. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I agree
think
with you on that.
I think what like and what I was getting, like what came to my mind, I'm not saying this is what you all were saying, but about like Dusty and Paul and stuff, it's almost like that they, instead of trying to, I'm going to throw this character onto you that may not even be anything remotely near what your actual personality is. They actually watch the person and figure out their personality and what's going to fit best with that person.
Yeah.
Help them with it instead of just saying,
Right.
here's you a character, go wild and let's see what you can
Exactly.
do with it.
Mhm.
I would also
I
like,
think it was Bruce Pritchard that, got that first started Stone Cold into thinking about redoing his whole Stunning Steve thing, was
Mhm.
because they were riding down the road and he said, "What's so stunning about Steve?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, yeah, you're right. I got this receding hairline,
All that.
and this long hair and stuff and everything, and it started making him start to question the whole, do I need to evolve this?
yeah,
And that's what it is you've got to be able to look at the talent and say, okay, that's who he is. Now, what kind of a twist and a character can we put on that guy to make him marketable?
Right.
And
yeah.
that's what Dusty was great at. Paul's great at. There's few people in the business who see the business the way that they do.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, Vince, to a degree, is that same type, but I think his is more. I think he had some home
Outside.
runs with characters, but I think that the majority of his stuff was kind of crap. When you come up with Bastion Booger and stuff like that, I think Vince's genius was more on the marketing side of everything and how to, you know,
The
let's
production side.
bleed this dry for everything we can, and I'm going to promote this to the moon. And that's where Vince's genius was. I think the wrestling genius, as much as I don't like the man himself, came from Pat Patterson and other people around Vince.
Yeah, that's possible.
I don't know. Like I said, I always put Vince up there as probably one of you know the guys that changed wrestling. He changed like I
Absolutely.
almost look at him, kind of like kind of use a sports analogy. He's kind of like a Kobe. Like he'll put up a lot of shots and he'll be a lot of and he'll miss more than he makes, but he'll still have 60 to 80 points, or like he'll still put out a Hulk Hogan, or he'll still put out a Stone Cold or a Rock and shit. Like he might throw a bunch of shit on the wall that that will flop and shit, but when he hits big and shit.
Oh yeah,
He
that's
does.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Hulkamania, Undertaker. He had some huge home runs,
yeah,
Mhm.
but
He's a
he
mad
had
scientist.
yes, but I would honestly and truthfully say that Vince had more flop characters as a promoter just because of his ego and not letting the talent kind of do a little bit of what they needed to do to make it work than any other promoter. Because even, I mean, look at like Mikey Whipwreck. That wasn't working in any other company at the time. But man, you brought him to WCW and you let, Paul Heyman, or not WCW, ECW, you let Paul Heyman get a hold of him. and kind of market him the way he needed to as who he actually was. And Mikey Whipwreck is an ECW legend. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's more of, again, I think Vince was more on the side of the marketing, because I seen an article the other day that was talking about, if you go back and watch WrestleMania 1, it wasn't that good.
Well, compared to now, of course not. I mean,
right.
That's like going back and watching old cartoons. They suck, but at the time they look really great.
I don't know about that. I love old cartoons. I'd rather watch old cartoons.
I know, but have you ever tried to watch He-Man now compared?
It's terrible.
Yeah, right. No, I know what you're saying. Like, there are some that are like, nah.
Yeah. Now, if you watch a G.I. Joe or a Transformers, and they still hold the time, but if you watch He-Man now, you're like, oh my God.
He-Man, I loved it at the time, but it's got to go on the Charles Barkley Hall of Fame. That's terrible, Kenny. That's terrible.
Come on, Lord.
But so let me ask you this: who would you say, if you had to put a Mount Rushmore, JD, of wrestling promoters? Who would you say is the 4 greatest wrestling promoters of all time?
That's a great question, and that gives me a great chance to shout out our Mount Rushmore mini series that we have, our shorts. And hopefully we have some of you guys doing a Mount Rushmore here too, and we got a Survivor Series short coming up.
I'm down, but the Vipers hates Mount Rushmores.
Oh yeah,
I don't like them. Nope, I don't like them at all. I think it's ridiculous to try to put the amount of wrestlers we have in history and now to try to put 4 or 5 names on a mountain for whatever reason.
Well, see, we the way we do it is we pick 1 male superstar, 1 female superstar, 1 tag team, 1 stable.
Hey, that's a good idea.
I like that.
But I still can't say I like that a little bit better, but I have trouble with being like a.
You can still.
I'm not a greatest of all time person. I'm not a.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It does force you to like into a position where you have to select somebody in that position. But
and I don't like doing that. I think that's horrible as a person. I don't know why. You
might like the Survivor Series one we're doing. We're doing that, and we're going to do variations on some of these too. But anyway, sorry, that's enough of a plug for me. The 4 promoters, though, I mean, you have to put Paul Heyman on that, certainly. I think you probably have to put Jim Cornette on that too. And then I would probably put Dusty and Vince McMahon.
I can see that.
Get behind that. I can get behind that.
And I'd probably give a little shout out to Eric Watts for what he did in the Jim Crockett Promotions before, Turner got his hands on it and stuff, because Jim Crockett Promotions wasn't nothing before Ted Turner took it over anyway. So I think it was the building blocks of what became WCW. So I think I would give a shout out to Bill Watts too. But yeah, the other 4 guys would be my Mount Rushmore promoters.
Yeah, I can get
behind that. I used to think that Crockett was a good promoter, but man, I've been watching some stuff on him, and he wasn't a good businessman. He was too hell-bent on Dusty and Flair, and he was way too loyal to them, like almost to the detriment of his promotion. And why he had to sell to Turner was because of the fact that he had like Sting in the palm of his hand coming up, and he was still pushing Flair and Dusty and all this other stuff.
But credit to Dusty and Flair, they were the ones who started speaking up to put some of the other guys over. Because I don't even know that when Ted Turner took over, whoever was running it back at that point, was still all about Dusty and Flair and getting them over. It was Flair who said, no, Sting needs to win the title from me tonight at the Clash of the Champions. And Dusty was the one that said, no, this person's got to go over. This person's got to go over, baby.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I think we're going to have to get him doing a Dusty and me doing a Jesse Ventura talking at the same time.
I can do Dusty. I can do a real mean Macho Man. I can do a little bit of a Flair and Sting.
I was just doing my worst impression of Jesse Ventura on the last episode we filmed, the recap, and we were talking about how he's coming back to Saturday night's main event tonight, and I was sitting there. I said, it's Viper said he's going to say something off the wall and everything. I was like, yeah, he's going to be sitting there going, Shivani, it was 9/11 that was done, and Steel doesn't get compromised like that.
Oh man,
but
that's not bad though, dude. That's not bad.
Up in Minnesota.
He's got a lot of them, so don't let him fool you.
What's he say? I live in the Baja.
Oh my Lord.
That's pretty good, dude. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty good.
Oh, Jesse Ventura, man, he ain't got time to bleed. But
that time to bleed. I love that. That's one of my favorite lines in Predator.
Oh yeah, he's like, you're bleeding. He's, I ain't got time to bleed. Cocks that mini.
He was perfect for that movie, though. You can't say he wasn't perfect for that movie.
I think there's certain movies that wrestlers are good in, and I think it's a lot of the with the exception of The Rock and maybe John Cena, because John Cena is pretty funny in movies and stuff. But for the most part, wrestlers did pretty good in movies as long as they didn't have too many lines.
Yeah. Some wrestlers are better than others. Hulk Hogan certainly had a moment or two with some of his movies, and then certainly some of them were, throw them out with the trash.
The ultimate meatball. That was his breakout there. Any y'all got right? That's what I'm saying. That's what I was talking about. How he was calling Stallone the ultimate meatball.
Oh,
he's a Thunderlips, the ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball.
You can't say that.
Oh man,
you can't say that.
What Thunderlips?
You can't say that. So I'm not going to stop laughing.
Your mind's going on the
I love how they added like 100 pounds to Hulk Hogan for that movie, weighing in at 375 pounds.
Like, yeah, sure, he weighs that much.
What was it? I was watching Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 last night, and but it just came to me that like I noticed that like in every movie that him and Mickey were standing in the corner waiting for somebody to come in, they always had a little bit of banter. And with Apollo last night, he was like, look, it's Apollo. Mickey looked at him and he said, well, who did you think it was going to be? And then like in Rocky 3, he was like, are they carrying him?
Yeah, Paulie is good for some of those one-liners. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wish they would have made him the butt of the family by the end of the series, but
yeah. I love those movies. I could watch them all day long. And the first 4 are fine. The first 4 are fine. They're good. They're very, very good movies. Number 5 is not good, and number 6 is, I don't know what the point of number 6 was at all. I don't either. I liked 5, and I wish they would have left it at 5.
I think 4 would have been.
No, 5 was Tommy Gunn.
Yeah, Tommy, where he fought his apprentice.
Okay.
Yeah, because Paulie sold everything while they were in Russia, or got caught in a pyramid scheme or something like that. And
that's what it was.
And then he goes back to the streets, and then he finds this guy, and he trains him, and then he turns on him. And then there's not even a big payoff because Rocky can't fight again because of what happened. He got his head pulverized in Russia, so he's not even supposed to box again. So it culminates in a street fight, which is not, I'm sorry, for a street fight is really one of the worst street fights you're going to see in all, it's really not. You want to see a street fight, put on Roadhouse.
And it was definitely not ECW worthy.
No, it was not. Yeah, that was not. I was very disappointed in number 5. If they would have been a much better kind of street fight or something like some kind of better payoff at the end of number 5, it wouldn't have been so bad. But like I said, in number 4, the whole point was he had to be done after that. Like they had already hinted in at Rocky and his brain issues anyway. So after number 4, you knew he had to be done anyway. So that's why I don't think there should have been a 5 or a 6.
I didn't care for 6, but I'm waiting for somebody to edit that scene now, the whole street fight scene in 5, and just somewhere in the middle of it, like the Dudleys come out of nowhere with trash cans and hit them both in the head. And everything.
Shut the fuck up.
Just tell them you're in Philadelphia. This is how we really street fight.
Oh my God.
I thought you were gonna say like somebody was gonna take a 3D or some shit.
That'd be great too. Take a 3D and then all of a sudden Mickey comes on. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you.
Right? How about right at the end when Rocky's like, "No, I'm done," and then he turns around and then it's the Team 3D there, and they hit him with a.
There you go. After he punches Duke up onto the car.
Yeah.
Sue me for what? And he turns around and boom.
I'm done fighting. And then a big 3D out of nowhere.
That'd be great.
That'd be a great ending to that movie. That would turn that movie around.
Oh man. So anybody got any questions for JD?
Yeah, I'll shoot. So we've talked a lot about basically the state of wrestling right now. Basically since Triple H just took over. Some people said it's been the Depression era because the whole Netflix, the whole fucking WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia and shit like that. How do you feel about wrestling and ticket prices going up? Them pushing WrestleMania to another country, basically what's your feeling about wrestling right now as far as the stories and how things are going?
I think it's good we have AEW and TNA. Well, we don't have TNA anymore. WWE has them now.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we all know that's coming soon.
Listen, I think the problem is with WWE. I've done some research on this. Okay, it's not so much WWE that's a problem right now, in my opinion. Honestly, I think
TKO.
I think it was their absorption into TKO. That's a problem. See, TKO needs WWE to be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because right now the UFC isn't always. So they need WWE on their balance sheets. Why do you think they also picked up AAA and they also picked up TNA? These are smaller companies, but they're in the green.
Yeah.
Okay. They need their profits from these wrestling companies to offset what they're doing in boxing and MMA. Okay. The quickest way, if you want to know when to short a company on the stock market, it's when they start absorbing other companies for their balance sheet. So that's my problem. And that's why I think WWE is heading for a big brick wall. And there's nothing that they can do about it at this point because they were bought by TKO. They're part of TKO.
Do you see TKO selling WWE?
The best they can hope for now is that TKO sells them when they get to a financial gem, which will happen. Or worst case scenario, TKO goes bankrupt and everything gets sold, broken off into pieces. And then it's far less of a chance that the parts of WWE stay together. If I'm a business person and I own WWE and I need money fast, I'm selling WWE separate. I'm selling NXT separate. I'm selling TNA separate. I'm selling AAA separate. And I'm also breaking off any parts of those companies that I can sell as an individual piece also for more money.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that they would possibly, and I know I beat the drum on this and Vipers and Vipers and Uncle Slam are so sick of me of hearing it, but you being a fan of it too, do you see them selling off the WCW assets to where somebody else could buy it up like an Eric Bischoff and bring back WCW?
I can tell you that there's a reason why Peacock is not owning the library anymore.
So you think they're selling off the WCW name?
I think that they're going to start selling off their assets. Yeah, I think. Listen, if they can't figure out a way to make money from these assets, then they're sold. That's it. That's where that's where TKO is right now. They need WWE to stay net flow positive, cash flow positive. They need that. So that's why ticket prices are going up because less people are coming. So you have to jack ticket prices. It's not the other way around. They're not jacking up ticket prices because there's too many people coming to the arenas. They're jacking up ticket prices because they have to, because less people are coming and they need WWE. They need it to stay positive cash flow. Because if it goes in the red, that's just another company on their balance sheet that's in the red. So they need it to stay green.
So you're
that's
saying
why ticket prices are going up. That's why this deal with Netflix, ESPN, that's why they're divvying all their distribution assets. That's the first step. The first
And
thing
not only that, you could sell it off at a lesser value than what you buy it because you've got other assets to sell off to make up that money.
They've made lucrative deals for all of their live TV assets, right? With Netflix or ESPN. All of their live assets have very lucrative deals, even though they're all backfiring by the people who purchased them.
Yeah, definitely. People are definitely not happy with Netflix or ESPN.
So they sold their assets that they currently see value in. They've sold the distribution rights to them, but they have not sold the distribution rights to their library, and Peacock don't want it anymore. So what are you doing with an assets that nobody wants to buy or that nobody wants to rent? Nobody wants to pay you to have them on their platform. You're going to sell them for 10 cents on the dollar.
Yep.
So I expect WCW, NWA, the entire everything Vince McMahon built to build the WWE network will be dismantled. That will be the first sign. As soon as you see what was left of the WWE network get dismantled, the minute you start reading headlines, AEW purchases the WCW rights from WWE, and this other company picks up the entertainment right, picks up the rest of the video library so they can host it on their streaming platform. Like right now, all that is assets that another company is going to pay 10 cents on the dollar just to put in their video library, if they're lucky.
Do you think that they can turn it around, and what would it take to turn it around? Better storytelling, better pricing. What would
get the corporate out of it?
I agree. Every time corporate comes in it, just like with WCW, things were going great until corporate came in. They bought out Ted Turner. Well, he sold it to corporate, and then you had all these people that didn't know shit about wrestling telling other people who did, well, you need to do this, and we need to get rid of this, and we need to change this. Like every time corporations come in from a mom and pop or from a small business and they take it over, they don't give a shit about the employees or the people. They just see, like you said, balance sheets, money and shit. And is this profitable? Can I make money? Be damn the rest. I think that, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to go, continue off of your point there. And that's exactly why you're seeing ticket prices go up, because this company just sees it as another number on their balance sheet. That's why they're saying, well, we can charge way more for ticket prices and make way more money than we can right now. Let's up the ticket prices.
And I've said a lot of times, and I've probably beat it to death on the show, is I think they're taxing our loyalty. They know that people, like us who've been fans for 10, 20 years or whatever, will pay to a certain point to watch wrestling. But then once it becomes too much, it's like, because if you notice and stuff, like especially in the US, they got Raw on one channel, SmackDown, NXT on one channel, Saturday night main events on another channel. But if you watch it, say you got a VPN and you're watching it in Canada, everything's on one channel. Like it's all in one place.
Yes,
like you don't have to go, you're paying one price to get all something that we, that I might have to pay extra $300 instead of paying, $25 at Netflix. But why? Because they know Americans will pay. They taxing the loyalty from us.
Also, because I don't know if anybody else wanted to jump in there. I'm sorry. Also,
no, go ahead.
Wrestling is not as our wrestling is not as big in Canada, right? So I go to your point. They can't tax the Canadian fans like they can the US fans. And the other thing that they need to realize, though, is that US fans, though, will be loyal up until the point that they feel they are being taken advantage of or overcharged. And then you lose everybody. It's not like it's dwindling right now, but it's not going to be like a dwindle all the way down to where you only have a few thousand or whatever. It's going to drop, and it's going to reach a point where it's just going to go from like 10,000 people are showing up to shows to 25 people are showing up to shows. Like it's going to be a huge drop off there once you actually start shrinking the numbers further and further. It's not just going to dwindle all the way down. It'll be a huge drop off eventually. And it's already happening in the TV right now. Yeah, and that's also why they're going to Saudi Arabia so much. That's why they're going to Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is writing them a huge check.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. There. Huge check. Enormous. I can't stress to you how enormous the checks are. And I'm not talking about what's reported in the news. I'm telling you, they're getting a huge amount of money to host pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is getting into the sports business because they know Americans and all over the world how big sports is. Saudi Arabia has an entire company dedicated to developing sports in Saudi Arabia. They have a golf company already.
Yeah, Live. Yep, Live.
Yep. Live. Yeah, LIV. Yep.
Yep.
They got a whole new golf thing. They've
and they're
redone.
paying big bucks.
They've
Hell, the
redone the
flag
sport.
football league.
They've redone the sport. They've increased. They've paced it faster. It's already in the process of about to kick golf's ass. Golf, the PGA is now threatening golfers who go play for LIV. Then you lose your tour card. If you go play for the competition, you lose your tour card.
Like they were offering, Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. I think it was like like $500 million, $300 million or something to come and play or whatever.
They're contracting golfers and giving them money. They don't even care that the tour. They're not even golfers are no longer winning money from tournaments.
Yeah,
they're doing it. Saudi Arabia is doing it just like a wrestling company. We're going
to exhibition matches
for our company.
Yeah. It's just they're paying you huge money just to come over and play golf, win, lose, or draw.
But Saudi Arabia has the money to do it.
Yeah.
They're a whole country and they have their own GDP. We're not talking about like just an American company that has hundreds of millions of dollars. We're talking about a Middle Eastern country who gets oil money, who could spend billions and billions of dollars every year to draw people over to build their sports.
Riyadh, Saudi Riyadh, I think it's called or whatever, the company or whatever.
I can't remember what the name of the division, like the whole. It's not even a company. I mean, it's a company, but let's be honest, it's not really a company. It's just a division of the the Saudi government.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a company. It's just a division of the Saudi government to bring over and build their sports out. And honestly, that's the worst case scenario for WWE. What happens when TKO wants to sell WWE and Saudi Arabia says, here's $500 billion.
See, we've talked about that too, because we know, obviously, when you go over there are certain restrictions as far as skin and certain things you can and can't do. Is that going to translate over to America too? Like, are they going to be like expecting the same thing?
Oh, you will never see. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. You please go ahead.
I was just going to follow up on that by saying, like, what is your take on like WrestleMania being in Saudi Arabia instead of being in North America?
Well, we at Mayhem actually, now I know that they're going to let women wrestle at this WrestleMania, though they're going to be in full skin.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be practically Marvel superheroes at WrestleMania. Okay. Now last year, because they didn't let women wrestle at the event, we blackballed it. We did not cover it at all. We did no prediction show. We did no watch along. We did no recap show. We didn't even do a call for the bell that week at all.
Okay.
And right now we're actually discussing that. We're actually discussing that again right now. Are we, because they are letting women. So we're discussing our policy right now. Are we going to, or are we not? Because WrestleMania for us is huge. Last year we did a dual night prediction show. We did a prediction show on Wednesday night and Thursday night. Then we did a full watch along on Saturday night and on Sunday night. And then we did a Monday night show doing a full recap of the whole weekend. We did it. We usually do a whole week's worth of coverage over WrestleMania. So if we decide not to do it, that's a whole week's worth of coverage we won't have this year.
Yeah.
I have a question.
We are discussing it. Yeah.
You said you had a policy. I'm not understanding. You mean you have a policy that like you won't cover an event if they don't advertise women as wrestling?
Originally, that was our objection. They don't even allow women wrestlers, and I'm sorry, right now in the wrestling world, the women are killing it most times, even more than the men are. Okay, I always compare. I'm like, listen, women's wrestling is where men's wrestling was in the 90s.
Yep.
Okay, that's where women's wrestling is. Okay, it's they're putting on better shows, they're working harder, and they're willing to do more than the guys are because they figured it out. If you want to get over, if you want the fans, you got to be willing to go above and beyond. And the women are doing it, and the men are starting to slack on it. So, and I think having a whole show in a country that women can't wrestle, you're admittedly saying, oh well, we want their money and at your expense. So that's why we as a company, Mayhem Media as a company, decided to make a policy that if a wrestling company, any wrestling company, not just WWE, goes to a country that doesn't allow women to wrestle, then we are not going to give them any media coverage at all. We're not going to do the prediction show. We're not even going to announce that it's coming up that weekend.
Okay.
Cool.
Is WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia this year?
Next year.
So 2027.
And it's in and it's in Saudi, and Rumble's in Saudi in 2026.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yes.
And that's why we're discussing
already
it now.
It's already in place.
Yeah, and we do a big Roy. We usually do the big four. We always do the big four. We try and do a watch along, like the prediction show, the watch along, and the recap show for Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. But we didn't do Survivor Series because that was when they had switched to ESPN, and most of us was like, well, we're too close to Christmas. Nobody can afford to buy the thing.
I did the VPNs.
Yeah, and that's what we're kind of getting into that too now. But
promise you, it's the best.
That's why we're discussing the policy now, because Rumble's coming up and it is in Saudi, so we need to decide if we're going to do it or we're not going to do it.
Right.
It makes sense. I never even thought about something like that, but
I hadn't either.
It's
I think it's a good idea.
I completely understand why you wouldn't. When you're a media company, especially when you're doing like wrestling, and if you're primarily doing WWE, to just completely cut yourself off is going to hurt you because someone else is going to cover it.
Right.
But that's where you have to decide, what is,
what your moral obligations are.
A company like that. Yeah. Where's the line? Where do you decide that your personal feelings or your own code, is that willing? Are you standing up for that at the expense of business? Or is business more important than your own ethics, your own code? It's a fine line. Let me tell you, I assure you of that. Because that's what we talked about. We were like, well, if we don't do this, every other podcast does not give a crap that women aren't allowed to wrestle there, right? So we are missing out, and anybody who does tune into us is likely turning on someone else for that pay-per-view. So we run the risk of not having as many viewers the next time, potentially. Maybe they tune into someone else, they like their coverage better. So, it was definitely a risk, but we decided to do it. That's why we're going to decide now, because they're letting women wrestle, they're still putting them under restrictions. I guarantee you, they're anytime they leave their apartment or their hotels or anything, they're going to be chaperoned. Their face
definitely
completely covered.
They have to be.
Yeah,
they weren't last time because it was so bad.
So that's what I'm saying. So I mean, it's still they're still under the same restrictions just because they're allowed to come out and wrestle. Wow, okay, so they can come out and wrestle. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they all come out of the ring of the entranceway wearing burqas, even if they're in their full Marvel uniforms. They're still going to be wearing burqas until they get to the ring, and then they're allowed to take them off.
See, here's my thing is, if something did happen and WWE got sold to the Saudis, like, how much is, I personally think that's going to hurt women's wrestling in the not in the long run, in the short term, because all that's going to happen, what I see happening, is these women are just going to wait out their contracts or whatever, and then they're going to leave and come to somewhere like AEW, TNA, something American, to where they don't have to be under all those restrictions. And that's just going to shoot those companies to the moon.
I hope they do. And I don't think that they even get under contracts. I think that I don't even think that that's part of the deal. I think either Saudi buys out their contracts as part of the purchase, or they make TKO pay off the women contracts before they buy it out. There's no women part of that deal. There's no women's roster part of that deal.
And another huge point of contention with pretty much everybody on our panel is that, we love the nostalgia of seeing Stone Cold on screen.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I was thinking the same thing.
But we don't want to, because the Saudis didn't get Stone Cold 20, 30 years ago. They want to pay him, $50 million to come into a 5-minute match. And we don't want to see that. We want to see the younger stars being pushed out there. As it's just getting old that every single Saudi show has to have some retired wrestler coming out of
Shawn Michael,
retirement.
a
because they
Rock.
never got to see him. Because they never
Yeah.
got to see him.
Mhm.
And that's the thing,
Well,
though.
there is a
There you go.
TV.
Now, all these wrestlers, even Stone Cold,
I'm sorry.
even with Stone Cold with his podcasting, which was now picked up by WWE. So even Stone Cold is still contracted by the WWE.
Right.
Mhm.
I think if that happens, though, as these Legends contracts run out, you're going to find out which one of these, some of these older guys, which ones are willing to be bought out and bribed, or were just fulfilling their, or were they just fulfilling their contractual obligations? You know what I mean? I think you're going to find out real quick if Saudi actually ends up owning the WWE. Some of these legends, once their contracts are up, what do they re-sign? Because if they re-sign, that shows you that they don't give a crap. They just want the money.
Right.
But if they don't re-sign, that's who you'll see. You'll see which one of the older guys have souls and which ones don't, in my opinion. So, not to put too fine a point on it.
It's funny that you brought up souls, because I was going to ask you a question kind of to segue. So we know John Cena is having the retirement match tonight, and we covered this on our recap show earlier, but I wanted to get your opinion on it, because I'm coming to a different conclusion about this whole, last time now tournament and the whole tour and everything. So there's rumor that The Rock is going to show up at Saturday night's main event, until we think, I don't want to say we and speak for everybody, but we kind of all semi agreed that if he does show up, it's going to be a "I still own your soul, so you can't retire" type thing. And I'm afraid, in my prediction, and this is one I stood on my own, I'm not going to include them into it. I think that this whole retirement match tonight is part of a storyline to get The Rock and Cena at WrestleMania.
I think I have a couple of opinions. First of all, John Cena should have never won the Intercontinental title. The
Thank you.
Grand Slam Championship, or however you want to call it these days, is
That's what they
something that came about because of development. You got the titles as you developed your way up through the company. Now, granted, I will say, the Intercontinental title is probably the most prestigious secondary title in all of wrestling history.
Agreed.
No doubt about it. Because a lot of former world champions have gone back to hold the Intercontinental title. Okay. Triple H, Stone Cold, The Rock, all have had the world title, and then at some point has gone back to hold the Intercontinental title again. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know that The Rock ever went backward, but both Stone Cold and Triple H have held the world title and then went back and held the Intercontinental titles at later times. Ultimate Warrior's done it as well. So I will say that the Intercontinental title is prestigious enough that a former world champion can go back and hold it, and I don't think it does anything to damage that. But John Cena never won it on the way up. Okay,
it's a trophy title at this point.
That Intercontinental title reign was to make him a Grand Slam champion.
Yes.
That was the only reason for it.
It was complete bullshit.
Screw that. He didn't win it. He doesn't get it. That's my opinion on that part. Okay. I think if they try and pull some storyline nonsense out, I think it'll probably be great for ratings and great for the social media, because people are going to go crazy. You will have 50% of the fans thinking that it's amazing and great for the story, and I think you'll have 50% of the fans thinking that it's the worst thing that's ever happened, or maybe the other 50% will be broken half. That half will think that it's bullcrap, and the other half will see, oh, I expected this, I saw it coming. I think John Cena's been all over his Twitter account and stuff, saying that this is it. It's the final time. I think if they pull that back now, I think that could damage his own popularity, his own credibility. I think this is probably, I don't think WWE's does like to pull the wool over our eyes and use kayfabe to their advantage, certainly. But this time, I don't think so. I really think this will be it. It's the end of the year. It's before Christmas. I think John Cena wants to be done. I think he wants to go do movies. I think he wants to make a lot more money. And I think that he is done. I don't think that they try and stretch it out anymore. I mean, a Saturday night main event, I always thought that was weird too. I'm like, really? You're not going out on a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
It's a Saturday night main event?
Right.
But it's also a perfect way from a marketing standpoint, when you can't sell tickets and you can't get people to tune in, to have people tune into that Saturday night main event and watch the ratings go through the roof for one of your shows. Look, see, Saturday night main event's not in trouble. Look at what we scored this last week.
Right.
Now, like, do you think he'll pop up at a WrestleMania or like a Royal Rumble, once or twice a year or something like that?
With the ambassador
he's
deal?
He's absolutely got a Legends contract. If he doesn't already, he does as soon as his contract.
He does now, yes.
Well, he just signed what they're calling an ambassador deal.
Oh, okay.
It's a 5-year deal.
Ambassador deal. Yeah. Well, it's the Legends contract. They're just naming it the ambassador.
We said the same thing.
I said the same thing, that they're doing it so that they can pay him more than a Legends contract.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And he's going to Saudi. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And he's going to Saudi.
I expect you to see him at Rumble.
Yeah.
Not for a match. Not for a match, but he'll be there.
As an ambassador, yep.
Oh my God, if he's a commentator, I'll lose my mind.
Oh gosh.
Maybe.
Please don't.
Maybe. But I don't think John Cena, see all this talk, everybody's so worried about, he's not done.
No.
Like, he's retired. We'll never see him again. What? What are you talking about? Of course you're gonna see him again. He's just done wrestling.
Yeah. That's like I said before, like it's like comic books and shit. Like, like nobody ever really dies. They just bring them back later on and shit.
Yeah. Listen, he's even John Cena's even part of the Fast and Furious franchise universe where they do the same thing as Marvel. And even though it's supposed to be real life, they bring back characters in that all the time.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Come on.
Somehow they escaped the fiery car that blew up right in front of 50 people and stuff.
And Letty survives her car crash, and even though they bury her in the ground,
she comes back. Yeah, they literally buried her.
Zombie Letty.
Zombie Letty. Oh my Lord.
I think it's great.
Yeah, dude, wait. We got a Fast and the Furious franchise movie coming up next year. So if you guys want in on that, I can let you in on that. I'm gonna.
I finally finished all of them. I think last year or whatever. I
hope
I was like 3 behind.
Okay,
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Like 2 now because I don't care.
Uncle Slam will probably be your man for that, because I thought Disney done their version of Fast and Furious better whenever they let the cars talk and called the movie Cars.
Oh, Cars, Lightning McQueen.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
The first one was an okay movie, but that was just like the Fast and Furiouses. You should have just left that one with 1 and let it go.
I watched about 20
agree with
minutes
that.
of it, and I've never watched anything else of it. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was about. I guess it's because I've never been a big car person or anything. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Uncle Slam, as long as you're prepared when we do the episode for me to rip apart movies 5 through however many more there are, or at the very, I'll give 5 a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but 6 onwards, I'm going to rip apart and tear it down.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Is 5 the one like where they pull the bank vault with the Chargers or whatever?
Yeah, the Brazil one, yeah.
Okay.
And even though
that's
that
as far as I
is
got.
completely outrageous, the only reason I like that is because Vince is back. They bring some more of the story full circle. That's the only positive thing I can say about number 5. But honestly, it should have ended at number 5. It was a great ending. They didn't need to do anything else. They could have left everything else unsaid. It was over. That's where they should have ended it. They brought everything full circle. 5 was it. They didn't need to do anything else.
I 1,000,000% agree with that.
They had to get them checks. What are you talking about?
They had to get them checks. It's always about the money.
My favorite.
We were just talking
I
about
will have to say, my favorite part of any Fast and Furious movie that I've seen is right there on the first one at the very end when the credits started rolling. That was my favorite part of the whole franchise.
So stupid.
Not to get too far off track, we was talking about Sylvester Stallone a little bit earlier in Rocky. My uncle had a theory about the Rambo movie, the first one. He said, if they'd have just give that man a bologna and cheese sandwich, they'd have saved all them lives and everything. That's all he wanted was something to eat. I never thought about it, but that's true. He said, just give him a bologna and cheese sandwich. That movie had been over in 5 minutes.
Oh, man, that's great stuff.
But yeah, man, I'm down to get involved in some movie franchise stuff and everything. I'm a big movie buff too and everything. So
yeah, we got a bunch of stuff planned for 2026. So we got a bunch of stuff planned. I'm gonna also. Any of you guys Fear Street fans?
What is it?
R.L. Stein,
Like
Fear Street.
Oh
books?
yes, absolutely. I was going to say the book, and just making sure you knew that was or I knew that was what it was.
Yeah. Did you guys see the Netflix ones they tried to turn into movies?
I haven't.
Uh-uh.
Oh man, if you're a fan of the
I'm
Fear
writing
Street
it down.
books, go watch it. They made the original. Have you ever read the Fear Street saga, the origins of the Fear Street books by R.L. Stein? Have you ever read those 3 books?
Not the original, not the origin.
There's a 3-book series that literally goes through about I think it's like 800 years of history between 2 families that give you the origins of Fear Street and why, how it's haunted and all that. Netflix, that was the first thing Netflix did. They made 3 movies about those books. I am going to pick Netflix apart.
Okay, so you said it's on Netflix and it is called Fear Street, right? Because I wrote that down.
Yes, but I would strongly, I mean, I don't know how much of a reader you are, but I would strongly encourage you to read the books before you go watch the movies.
I'm a big reader, so
please go read the books, before
first.
you watch the movies. Please don't go watch the movies first. The movies are terrible. They completely.
Oh, I'm going through that right now with another book and movie. So
they're bastardized versions of the books. They completely took it. I don't want to get too political on your show, but they take it on a left turn.
Yeah,
and completely ignore what the point of the origins of the book are. That's my problem. They focus.
Oh God, that's gonna piss me off too. I'm just gonna say because I know it will.
There's a left turn in the book origins too, but in the movies they focus on this left turn and not about the history and the origins of the Fear Street.
Right.
Like they completely mess up the entire thing. So I'm going to do an episode on that next year too and completely rip them apart because I love.
Oh, I'm all for that then.
Huge Fear Street fan.
See, I'm stuck on. I'm looking at like everything Stephen King now because of this Welcome to Derry and how all the
stories. Love me some Stephen King too.
I'd love to do another Stephen King thing. I just can't do it.
Literally and
I saw the original movie when I was way too young to see the original movie. And now I can't watch it. I'm serious.
You don't like clowns?
I know it has nothing to do with clowns. It's just that movie.
Oh, I was just making sure.
Yeah, no. It has nothing to do with clowns. It's just about that movie because I saw it when I was way too young. So anytime I see it now, I get the adrenaline starts. My mouth starts watering. I get sweaty. Like it's like immediate kick in. So like I can't. I've tried. I just can't. As soon as it's on, and I'm like, no, turn it off.
I'm like that with The Ring. So
my whole thing is like how they've come out with the fact that this character Halloran in the Welcome to Derry series is the same Halloran from The Shining. The guy that shows Danny and his mom around, and they have him.
I heard
it was Catman Scruthers. I think it's Scruthers that played the character in The Shining, but I didn't realize that like even that, and like they were explaining that like most of the kids in it, that the reason it goes after them is because of the fact that they have at least a little touch of the shine, and is why that he feeds off them and targets certain kids and stuff and not other kids. I was like, that's kind of cool. But I just love the way that Stephen King's universe is completely connected. Not to get off subject too much or anything.
I love that too, and I want to go back through and watch some Stephen King movies with like the notes, like the full breakdown of the universe in front of me, so that I can understand it because it's
massive.
About building a universe, yeah.
Yes.
Apparently it all originates back to the Dark Tower series, right?
Yes. Well, the Dark Tower itself is a manifestation of I can't remember his name, a cosmic god. Yeah. And it's what all the timelines connect at. So it's like the center of the Stephen King universe and everything. That's why Flag from The Stand is in the Dark Tower. And he's different characters, and I think it's cool how it all comes together and everything.
I never read the Dark Tower books, but I've seen the movies. But I guess a lot of people don't like the movies
the movie's terrible compared to the books.
That's interesting because honestly, that's one of the few movies that I actually can stand Matthew McConaughey.
Really?
Oh, I'm not.
All right.
Matthew McConaughey is a great individual. Okay, like as a person, he's clearly a good person. He does a lot of good in the world. He does a lot of charity stuff. He's clearly a good person. I don't get it as him as an actor. It's like the CM Punk thing in wrestling. I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't understand it. No one can explain it to me. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
So the Dark Tower series is the only thing that I've actually liked Matthew McConaughey in. So
I put Matthew McConaughey in that like I like Keanu Reeves, but as far as like Keanu Reeves, Nicolas Cage, Matthew McConaughey,
Matthew McConaughey's the top of those three guys. I'm just going to tell you.
They play the same character in every movie. There's no, it's the same thing in every movie.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage, I agree with that too. I'm not.
I was gonna say that about Nicolas Cage. Yeah,
I'm not a Nicolas Cage fan either.
I like
not even
him,
remotely.
but it's not like I would put him up there as the greatest actor of all time, or anything like that.
He's got some good movies. Most of those are because of the supporting cast, not because of him.
Face Off.
Supporting cast, not because of him. It's Gone in 60 Seconds. Supporting cast, not because of him.
Dude, I absolutely hated that movie.
Really?
That movie.
Yes, I could not stand it.
I mean, I don't like him in it. I think he's terrible.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
But Robert Duvall is good. Angelina Jolie.
Oh, I love Robert Duvall.
So yeah, they had a great cast in that movie. That's what makes that movie good is the cast.
Robert Duvall is probably in my top 20 actors of all time.
I'd move him up higher than that. Yeah, Robert Duvall's up there, man. Yeah.
My two favorite Westerns of all time are Tombstone and Lonesome Dove.
Oh, yes, Tombstone. I've never seen Lonesome Dove, but Tombstone.
Lonesome Dove is good.
I urge you, if you've never seen Lonesome Dove, it's a 4-part miniseries from the 80s. It is probably some of the best acting you will ever see from Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones.
Nice.
Especially their interactions together. But even beyond that, it's got an all-star cast. It's got like Danny Glover, Diane Lane, Robert Urich. What's the kid from Silver Spoons? Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got an all-star cast, and it's absolutely. I've watched it probably in the past 3 years about 30 times, just because if I can't find anything else to watch, I'll just throw it on and listen to it in the background.
Yeah, I'm a huge Tombstone fan. I can do a Doc Holliday impression big time, man.
I love Doc.
Val Kilmer, Val Kilmer. He owned that role.
I met him at Comic-Con a few years ago and got his autograph and all kinds of stuff and everything. What was you going to say, Uncle Slam, about Tombstone?
No, I was talking about Robert Duvall. Like, I just remember him mostly from The Godfather because I'm a huge Godfather fan, and I remember from the first and the second one.
Days of Thunder.
I'm going to tell on myself here. About, 15 years ago, Uncle Slam let me borrow his DVD set of The Godfather to watch it because I had never watched it.
You know what? I'm one of those people too. I was way old, not way old, but like farther than you think somebody like a guy would have seen The Godfather. Like I think I was almost 30 by the time I actually watched The Godfather.
Well, here's the irony.
I was in my late
story.
20s.
Here's the irony of my story. I borrowed that DVD set and I've still never watched The Godfather series. I finally found it. I found it in a box and I was like, man, I got to give this back to him. Man.
It's really good.
You still have it?
No, I finally gave it back to him. You know, after DVDs are useless and obsolete.
Yeah, they don't matter anymore.
Yeah, it is one of the really is one of the greatest series, especially the first one, obviously the best. The second one is good. The third one, I was not as big a fan of the third one as I was the first two.
The first two I love. Like, it's one of those movies because they always say the original is better than the second. Those movies it's almost a toss up for me because I think they're both really good. Especially you got Al Pacino, you got what's his name,
De Niro
and stuff playing and stuff. Like, I just love both of the stories. The third, I think they just made it just because like they had to or some shit just to kind of wrap it up. But I don't think they need it. Like, they should just left it where it was on the first two. The third, which is it just kind of tainted the whole story.
One of the things that I love about those movies is that the first two, we get Scarface, Al Pacino, and then by the third one, he's the adult Al Pacino.
Yeah,
right.
You look at somebody, he's like, or the what I call the Any Given Sunday Al Pacino.
Oh yeah.
But it was so weird. He's still like the first two movies. He's still the Scarface. He's still young. He's got the short hair. Like he's still the young Scarface Al Pacino. And then by the third one, he like somewhere between the second and third, he evolved. He's like a butterfly. He cocooned himself, and then came out the Any Given Sunday Al Pacino. It was such a weird transition there between number 2 and number 3. I'm like, wow, you were just Scarface Al Pacino a movie ago, and now you're literally Any Given Sunday Al Pacino. That's crazy.
I think in between there he had Carlito's Way, and which was pretty good.
Hold on one second. Like, what's that movie with him and Val Kilmer with the shootouts?
Heat.
I love that movie.
That's a good movie too.
I can put that shit on and just watch it over and over
Another
again.
Great movie.
But of course, you all-star cast. You can't go wrong with Val Kilmer. I understand why people shied away from Val Kilmer, because he was semi-difficult to work with, but it was him trying to be perfect with the performance.
Was he a method actor or something like that, or what? Or
I don't know that he was like a Daniel Day-Lewis type method actor.
But he stays in character all the time.
Right. I don't think he was like that, but like I think he was very serious about learning who he was playing and trying to embody that to a point to where it got frustrating for directors and stuff like that. Like any man that can go from Top Secret, which is probably one of my favorite spoof movies of all time. If you've never seen it, watch it. It's as great as Naked Gun and stuff. No, that's Real Genius.
Okay.
Top Secret's the Naked Gun type movie that he did. It was his very first movie where he was playing Nick Rivers, an American singer that goes over to Germany to do a performance, and he's like basically like an Elvis type character. And he goes over to Germany to put on a concert, but it's a concert that's going on while other nefarious things that the German government's doing and stuff and everything is going on, because they're really planning some attack and they're using his concert as a distraction. He gets sucked into the resistance and stuff and everything. It's hilarious. Like, he does all of his own singing in the movie, and I didn't realize he'd done all of his own singing in the Doors movie too. Like, he sounded so much like Jim Morrison that he method learned how to sing like Jim Morrison so that way he could do his own singing in the movie. Like, Val was great. I hate that we lost him, but
one of the best.
Yes, big time. I'm a huge Val fan. Well, guys, I don't have anything else. Do y'all got anything else for JD?
I think that's it. I think I'm tapped out.
JD, you want to say anything else before we head out of here about Mayham or anything?
No, check us out on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. We have a storefront. Pick up some Mayhem Media merch. Bonfire.com/store/Mayhem Media Shop. And pick up. And we're also licensed to sell. I don't know if you guys had them on yet. You guys should. I'll send the diamonds your way. You guys should have the diamonds, Austin or Scott, on your
Scott and Austin Diamond. Yeah, we definitely need to reach out to them. I think we're going to at the sometime next year and everything. Once we get past the holidays.
When you see them or when you reach out to them, make sure you tell them that Mayhem Media sent you, because they are on the team. They are brand ambassadors on Mayhem Media's team, and Mayhem Media is licensed to sell their merch. So if you want some diamond apparel, head over to the Mayhem Media shop and pick up some diamond apparel, because it's the only place that you can pick it up if it's not at a wrestling show.
All right, cool.
Yeah. You remember them, don't you, Uncle Slam?
Yeah,
I mean, too, Carrie. Okay, I didn't know if you remembered who it was he was talking about, but we'll definitely have to have him on. He actually gave me his contact information. I've got it right here. We've just been so wrapped around trying to just format for guests too and everything too.
Oh yeah, he's busy, and he's got a crazy. He's all over the middle of the country right now with dates and stuff. Man, he's crazy busy too. So it might have to be till 2026 till he can even be on anyway.
In the wrestling business, being busy is a great thing.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on. And like we said, anytime you ever want us on the show, man, just let us know. If we can get there,
we'll be having you guys on. And, anytime you guys want me to come on, I'll definitely be back. So, yeah, we can definitely keep collaborating and doing stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. And like we said, if everybody ain't got nothing else, I guess we're going to, referees hit that 3 count. We're going to ring the damn bell.